We will walk through the steps to demonstrate how debugging is done. But first let us run the game. This is a simple script which loads the scene inventory scene_prefabs, then keeps it for 8 seconds and then removes the scene. We will take this as an example to see how debugging works. This is how the game looks when it is run. Let us go to the Visual Studio IDE. We can set breakpoints here at a line of code. For example, if I click on the left side of editor, here, you can see a red circle appear on it. This is where we have set a breakpoint. This means that when the game executes this line of code, the execution stops here. We can now execute the code line by line and check for any issues. Let us try it for real and understand step by step how testing can be done using the Code Debugger. First thing is that we have to attach to the Unity debugger. So, we go to Debug and click on Attach Unity Debugger. A pop-up appears showing the list of Unity instance. Select the appropriate instance and click OK. This throws few windows like Watch and Locals, which we will talk about a little later. Go to Unity and play the game. The game runs and the code execution stops at the point where we had set the breakpoint. This is highlighted by the color of this row changing to yellow. If we hover over to any entity, we can see the value of all the properties of that entity. So, for example, the variable inventory scene name, if we hover on it, it shows the name of the scene that this variable holds, which has the value inventory scene_prefabs currently. So, we can correct any errors we find here. To move the execution to next line of code, we go to Debug and click on Step Over or F10. The execution, now, moves to next logical line of code and so on. This is the locals window which shows the list of all variables along with its value in the class. If we want to monitor a variable, we can do so in the Watch window. But first the variable has to be added to Watch window. This is done by right-clicking on the variable in the editor and selecting Add Watch, like so. The variable gets listed here along with its value. Throughout the execution we can see what the current value for the variable is, and hence, we can find any discrepancy or error in the value. If now, we want to execute the code freely, until the next breakpoint is hit or that the game reaches end of execution, we can go to Debug and press Continue. To check, we can see in the game that the scene inventory scene_prefabs is still in the scene because the code execution is paused to this point. Let us go back to Visual Studio Editor to execute rest of code. So, if I press Continue, the code gets executed completely and unloads the scene from the game. We go back to Unity Editor and find the scene inventory scene_prefabs is removed from the scene.